Although what happens if she chooses and I'm not sure whether it's going to be acceptable for TV.
Mine are absolutely brutal. They're like, no.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll get in trouble.
19 minutes past 6. We've been talking this morning about the new quarantine rules for travellers. How are they going to affect the tourism industry?
Nina's looking into this one for us this morning. And businesses are, it's fair to say, Nina, already worried, aren't they?
Yeah, really worried. Obviously, the advice at the moment, the strict guidance is to stay home under almost all circumstances. So travel abroad is actually illegal. But they're worrying about how this affects our confidence when it comes to booking later in the year. Yeah, good morning. Huge ramifications for the travel industry. Experts say if these tough new rules stay in place, British travellers are unlikely to book a trip abroad at all this year, even if their destination is not currently on that red list. So tourism is really big business. It generates around £60 billion a year for the UK and supports nearly 1 million jobs. And despite the furlough scheme and other support packages, around 40,000 jobs have already been lost in the industry over the past year. And the front line of the industry, the travel agents, the tour operators, they've seen their income disappear. They did 90% less business in the autumn than they were doing before the pandemic. And unlike many industries, they can't shut down completely because they need to manage current bookings and look ahead to future ones. Now, the industry was one of the first to call for testing plans last year. They're not against these new measures, but what they need to see is regular policy reviews so that people feel confident enough to book. They also believe the government needs to provide quicker, cheaper testing and maybe even vaccine certificates to help the industry get back on its feet.
The latest measures are another blow. Now, whilst nobody's travelling right now, it does impact confidence. We're an industry that has had no revenue whatsoever for 12 months. Our members are still having to work because they're sorting out bookings and refunds for clients, and they've got to keep staff on off furlough. But there is no specific financial support for the travel industry, for travel agents, for tour operators. So they're in a really desperate state right now and urgently need to understand what the measures are going to be from the government to offer financial support, whether that's extension of furlough, extension of some of the schemes that we've had, so they can plan for their businesses and really help support the government's ambitions to drive economic recovery through global Britain.
But what do you need to know if you are desperate to get that holiday booked? Well, at the moment, of course, that travel abroad is illegal. But if you want to book for later in the year, the best bet is a package holiday, one that has ATOL and ABTA protection, with which you'd get a full refund on cancellations. There are lots of companies out there giving flexible deals now, allowing you to change at the very last minute, so do check. And if you use your credit card, then that's extra protection too. Do check your insurance and double check it, because most providers have limited their cancellation cover now because COVID is seen as a known event. And I'll be speaking later to a travel industry expert, so do get in touch as ever if you've got any questions, and I will put those to him. I mean, the main concern from the industry is, yeah, they do want to see this extra protection, but every measure that's put in place then takes time to unravel, and all the while our confidence is, to see those headlines, threats of going to prison if you break the rules, it's going to put people off from travelling. And also, in Charlotte's piece earlier, we saw someone who wanted to travel abroad because a relative had died. Those rules still apply to people, so £1,700 on top of all that expense at a difficult time is really hard.
Nina, we'll be talking about that throughout the programme.